Did you know that the world's first electric roller coaster was invented by a black man? It was invented by an African American named Granville T. Woods. He patented the invention in 1893 and revised it in 1901. Did you also know that before the Wright brothers flew their aircraft in 1909, that a black man named Charles F. Page had already invented, patterned, and flown an aircraft 3 years earlier in 1906? Did you also know that after Thomas Edison patterned his light bulb, that no companies purchased it, no mass produced it? This is because it was deemed not efficient enough. It lit very dimly and only lasted a few minutes. The light bulb that was purchased and mass produced and its inventor dispatched around the world to oversee its installation was actually invented by an African American inventor named Lewis Latimer. He sold it to the U.S. Electric Company in 1881. It's by deliberate design that most people are unaware of these noted historical facts. These facts have been deliberately omitted from our history books because they don't fit the narrative that the white society wants to propagate. According to white social scientists, in order for a dominant population to maintain its position of social dominance over the subordinate population, the history taught within a society must exalt the dominant population above the subordinate population. Doing so endorses the dominant group's position of social dominance over the subordinate population. This is why the history we've been taught omits over 90% of the achievements made by black people throughout history. The history we've been taught has been whitewashed to make black people appear significantly lesser throughout history than we truly in fact were, while making Caucasians appear much more relevant throughout history than they truly in fact were. To have taught the true history would have undermined the white society's position of social dominance over the black population. The whitewashing of history endorses the white society's current position of social dominance over the subordinate black population. The true hidden reality is that most inventions that revolutionized the world were in fact either invented by black people or were directly inspired by earlier inventions by black people. It's actually the genius minds of black people that moves the world forward. I do realize that to many people that statement sounds absolutely absurd or even laughable. Whenever lies have been told to the masses over many generational lines, the truth will sound absolutely ridiculous and its speaker will sound like a raving lunatic. I assure you, I am not a lunatic. I thoroughly research and research all facts for myself. In fact, many black people themselves become embarrassed whenever they hear me say that most revolutionizing inventions were made by black people. It's because most black people themselves are unaware of that fact. This is because the white society writes all black narratives. They therefore literally owns our interpretation of ourselves. And they falsely negatively distort and marginalizes our narratives in order to condition us to perceive ourselves through a false inherent inferior identity that aids them in maintaining their social dominance over us. This is why most black students, unless they've done their own research, independent research on the side, they graduate from their white governed schools, believing that the only thing invented by black people was peanut butter. And that's a damn shame, and it's also true. However, the hidden reality is that in spite of cultural traumas wrought by the injustices of white racism and slavery, most inventions that have revolutionized the world were in fact either invented by black people or were directly inspired by early inventions by black people. Without black people, there would exist no motors, no automobiles, no airplanes, no helicopters. That's right. Without black people, the common mode of travel would still be the horse carriage. And in case you don't know, it was ancient Africans that invented the wheel. Without black people, we would not have skyscrapers. We only have skyscrapers because black people invented the elevator, the air conditioning, and central heating, which are essential in order for people to live or work within skyscrapers. Without black people, there would exist no internet, no cell phones. We wouldn't have cameras and microphones on our cell phones. We wouldn't have the accurate weather forecasting system. We wouldn't have the cataract laser removal scope. There would be no emails, no GPS, no hearing aids, no touch-tone phones, no caller ID, no home surveillance security system, no home game cartridges, no steam engines, no traffic lights, no working light bulbs. We wouldn't have the modern color PC, nor 3D movies. There would be no refrigerators, no central heating, no washing machines, no dry cleaning, no lawnmowers, no dryers, no refrigerated trucks, therefore also no ice cream trucks, no fiber optics, no blood banks, no nanotechnology, no female sanitary pads, no bathroom tissue holders, there'll be no pencil sharpeners, no doorknobs, etc., etc. Black people have in fact enriched the lives of every person on this planet through our many inventions. Here's a relevant historical fact that has also been omitted from our whitewashed history books. After slavery was abolished in the U.S. in 1865, and in spite of receiving no reparation and being constantly plagued by the evil injustices of the continued white racism, from 1870 through 1940, African Americans submitted 726 invention patent applications to the U.S. Patent Office. Not only is this an extraordinary achievement under those noted circumstances and so closely following slavery, but it also more than doubled the number of patents submitted by Caucasians during the same time period. And in spite of the fact that African Americans then made up less than 3% of the U.S. population. This scenario of black people outperforming whites in creating revolutionizing inventions has never ended. It continues even to this day. This fact is merely concealed by the white society's monopoly over information. The truth of the matter is that white people invented the patent office and have always used it to steal the intellectual property rights from black people. You see, in order for black inventors to get their inventions mass produced, they had to go before these white companies. These companies then acquires the right to the invention and then places white faces in front of the technology. This scenario allows the white society to continue exploiting the genius minds of black people while maintaining the perception that it's the minds of Caucasians that moves our society forward. Your perception of reality is an elaborate white deception. According to white social scientists, true power lies in only what's perceived as being true, because people function based upon their perceptions of what's true. Therefore, by merely creating the perception that most inventions comes from the minds of whites, this greatly empowers the white society, and it's all that's required for maintaining their social dominance over black people. White social scientists and white propagandists deployed a perception management system to meet that objective. Perception management is a propaganda technique that involves altering the public's perception of reality to suit the objective of the white ruling class. It's an essential part of modern information warfare. The distortion of the public perception of reality is much more easier to achieve than most people realize. The public's perception of reality is not shaped based upon facts nor reality. It's actually shaped by the narratives that are repetitively fed into the society. Therefore, all you have to do is keep repeating lies through media ads, falsely scripted movies, and miseducation. And before long, the majority of the population will then accept those lies rather than what's actually true. Those lies will become the truths that the public believes and then functions based upon. Repetition of lies makes those lies appear much more truthful. It's a true social science. To restate that more simpler, the basic tool required for the distortion of the perception of reality is to merely repeatedly feed false information into a society. The public at large will eventually start functioning based upon those false information instead of the true reality. This is precisely what the white ruling class have done. Because they control all of the narratives that are repetitively fed into our society, they therefore literally owns the interpretation of reality. As a means of maintaining white social dominance over the black population, they repetitively and systematically feeds false white exalting and false black marginalizing narratives into our society. The public at large function based upon their perceptions created by those false narratives rather than the true reality. A social science fact is that all societies function based upon the narratives that are repetitively fed into them. And the narratives that are repetitively fed into the white dominant society are deliberately distorted and falsely scripted to keep the society functioning in ways that ensures that white social dominance over the black population is maintained. Until you learn of the many hidden nefarious social sciences that are being secretly deployed for maintaining white social dominance over the black population, everything they do will merely confuse you. Don't be fooled. If the white oppressors were truly superior, they wouldn't have to distort so many facts and tell so many lies to convey it. Nor would they have to work so hard and unrelentingly behind the scenes to handicap and subjugate those who they claim are inferior. Your perception is a white deception. You have to elevate your mind about the biblical fairy tale and the silly slave syndrome myth and learn of the true social sciences that are being used for maintaining white dominance. It is the only way we will liberate ourselves. We must learn these social sciences and then develop counter strategies to overcome them. Damn it, it's time to wake up. If you are walking around believing that in Jesus and Willie Lynch, your intelligence level is exactly where white oppressive forces wants it to be, because you are mentally enslaved and ignorant of your own mental enslavements. One love and peace. Wake up, brothers and sisters.